So I say to the guy, data cache doesn't just grow on hollow trees, man. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Zareth Prevails. Today we're going to talk about how to farm Datacrons. It's really exciting, and it's instructive. Exciting and instructive. The two words we're looking for. The third word we're looking for is patrons. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for all of your support, guys. I couldn't do this without you. I really couldn't. And if you want to support this channel for free, folks, all you gotta do is hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, comment, mount the algorithm, folks. The algorithm is essentially a really fancy Datacron. Maybe they'll think that's true. All right, let's move right along here. So, why are Datacrons important? I know that a lot of people hate them still. I get it. A lot of people still hate mods. I don't. Okay, there's two reasons here, folks. Two reasons that they're good. And if you don't want to play with them, that's fine. I'm not going to judge you. I really don't care. You make life easier for a lot of people who do play with Datacrons. So first off, because they're all PvP, your guild might need you to farm Datacrons, and maybe you're not doing it effectively enough. Maybe this guide is for you so that you know how to do it just to get done with that stupid game mode and, you know, your obligations and whatever. And, you know, that's probably a good enough reason. Also, your GAC income is just way better, folks. If you're playing with Datacrons, you're gonna move up in rank. That's just how it works. Look. So, if you compare Erodium 2 to Kyber 4 in 1 month, if they both get the exact same record, it's like a 2,500 crystal difference if you get the exact same record. And that's not a big jump. Like, it seems like a lot because Erodium 2 and Kyber 4, but if you get into Erodium 1, at the end of the season, they'll put you into Kyber 4. And similarly, if you get into Kyber 5, fall into Kyber 5, they'll get you into Erodium 2. So they're really the two areas right next to each other. 2,500 for the exact same record. And yes, your opponents are going to be a little tougher, but they're not that much tougher. I just recently went through that whole transition from Erodium to Kyber on my Littlest account, and we'll talk more about that, but it's not that much more challenging, and the way you beat them, though, a lot of times is gonna be with Datacrons because they're not using them, frankly. A lot of people don't use them. So, let's just jump into it, guys. Prevail Man, that's my smallest account. And, you know, you can watch me stream it every single GAC. I'm in Kyber 2, and I will stay in Kyber 2 this entire season from start to finish, despite my protestations that I don't belong. Why don't I belong? I only have 2 Galactic Legends on that account. That account never changes GAC defenses. I only log in to that account 1 time per day. I don't spend any money on that account either, except for a $10 Conquest Pass, because hopefully that makes up for all of the lost energy, that like the refreshes and all of that stuff. Sometimes I'll do the web store or whatever, but you know, it's my third account, it's my second alt, and I just don't have time to take care of it enough. And so I'm still in Kyber 2, despite the fact that I'm at 8 million GP. I only log in every once in a while. There's just the 2 Galactic. Like, there's no way that account should be in Kyber 2. Now, if I was taking more, like, better care of the account, but it boggles my mind. And the reason why, though, guys, is because people don't know how to deal with Datacrons. They just don't know how to deal with it. And so here's the Datacrons that I have currently, and on that account. So after 2 months of farming, the blue ones at the top, and after 1 month of farming in Conquest, the orange, yellow, whatever you call them, ones at the bottom. So I still have 1 more month to farm more of the ones on the bottom, and it's a pretty decent collection if you were to ask me. It's good. It's not too expensive, but it's good enough, and I don't spend money on that account, guys, except for the $10 Conquest Pass. That's the only thing. So, what do you need? Well, first off, okay, let's just step back a sec. How do you even know which Datacrons you need to upgrade? I can tell you, like, we'll insert this shameless plug right here, folks. And I didn't redo this this infographic, but I will. I might be upgrading it later, just depending. But here's the thing, folks. If you go to my Discord server, you can find an updated, for the most part, an up-to-date Datacron infographic. And you can get it for free. You can download it. You can send it to your guild. You can bury it under a rock if you're some kind of rock barrier person, which is don't tell me if you are, or any of us. Like, don't admit it to yourself, I would say. So here's this thing is for free on my Discord server, and I do one every month. So you can always find. I'll always do a video on it, and I'll always have an up-to-date infographic so that you can know exactly what you need and how to prioritize which squads and what stats, which things you're going to need. And so there's always that. I'm sure there are other resources out there by my fellow amazing content creators, but I'm not going to list them. You can find them yourself because those guys are great, but you guys should watch me instead. No, I'm sure they are great. Jeez. Okay, so how do we get these ones, guys? So a couple factors to consider here, just so that we're all on the same page. Before we talk about exact plans, specific plans on how to do this. First off, the Conquest Pass that I purchased for $10 every month on this account gives me enough materials for approximately one level 9 Datacron. Now, I don't get all the way to crate 7, which is red crate, so I don't get all of the materials, but I get most of them. And that's pretty great. That's not bad at all. Second off, I do conquest what I call the lazy way, which is, in my opinion, the most effective way to do things. You can find a link. I'll link it actually in the video description on how you can unlock conquest characters. It takes a little bit longer, but you don't have to spend nearly as much time doing conquest. Instead, you can work on Datacrons, or you could just spend the time being super lazy. I don't really care. You can just do one of those things. So go watch that video if you want. And so let's talk about week 1, I guess. It's an important thing, guys. So Conquest, as we all know, lasts for 2 weeks, right? The first week, so we have the same exact cycle over and over again, and hopefully most of you have noticed it by now. But it's the same, follows the exact same pattern on this calendar. On the 1st, on Monday, Conquest begins, and GAC is not that week at all. That's the off week for GAC, and then GAC week starts at the same time as the second week of Conquest begins, and then a week later Conquest ends. And so you have this little overlapping time period where you want to get as many Datacrons as possible right before the GAC season begins. You have about a week. And so the idea is, first off, you want to do 3 refreshes a day if you can here, folks. I know that for some people that may be a little expensive, but if you can, that's really going to help you. The more refreshes you can do. Now you start getting diminishing returns once you start doing 4 refreshes or 5 or whatever. So I would just suggest do 3 and then move along. And Sector 4 is get through Sector 4. Once you're done with Sector 4, then just stop. Like, don't work on Sector 5. You can if you want, but if you want to maximize your Datacron number, then just pause for a second, work on your feats, do all this stuff from Sectors 1 through 4, and then once GAC week starts and you're locked in with all your awesome shiny new Datacrons, then start working on finalizing your crate. You still have a full week and you only have 1 sector to go. You should be able to do it. The idea is just to get as many Datacrons before GAC lock as possible. And so, just as a rule of thumb, folks, if you want a level 9 Datacron, it's going to cost 7 million, data cache 300 Mark II materials and 200 Mark III materials. And you're going to want to use bonus nodes from Sector 1, 3, and 4 to be able to get those. But Sector 1 being where you actually get Datacrons from. Now, when you hit week 2, you still do the refreshes. You get the crate that you want. I get crate 5 because I can get those characters unlocked after 6 months instead of 3. Usually I don't have the characters to go with the new Conquest character anyways, and so this kind of gives me a little bit of time to prepare. Like, I can't use... I mean, a little bit I could use Queen Amidala, but not too much. It would be nice to be able to farm Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan by the time, I might be able to get them before I get Padme, and then I could actually work on that team, as opposed to I'll have Padme, and then I'm like, or, Queen Amidala, whatever her name is. She's also Padme. But that way I don't just have her sitting on my roster like, oh, should I work on her, should I not? Like a subpar team, I don't really know. Like, so we can kind of just plan a little bit more, and then just farm Datacron mats, guys. It's pretty simple, honestly, just like, get as many GAC, or get as many Datacrons for GAC as possible, and then finish your crate and move right along. Now, in terms of spending shard store currency, this is something I feel like this is the one I was the most frustrated about initially, folks, was using shard store currency to buy data cache, to buy reroll mats, and all of that stuff because I wanted to buy gear. The fact is, you're not getting much gear with your shard store currency. You just aren't getting much of it at all. You can get it a lot of other places, and the raid Mark 1 and Mark 2 currency are going to do just as good for you. Honestly, I think that's going to be a way more effective thing anyways. I'll still buy a few things in the shard store, actually. There are a few pieces that I'll always buy, like the purple Gear 12 pieces that you need to fulfill all of the things. I'll buy that, like the med pack, the scanner, and the syringe. I'll buy those. Because those are cheap and effective, but you can buy those and still buy a lot of data cache. You can buy a lot of Mark 1 and Mark 2 reroll mats, and that's what you should be spending a lot of your currency on, maybe not all of it. Unfortunately, you can't use data cache to buy Mark 2 materials to actually build your Datacrons, which if you could, that would be really nice. But of course they need to find a way to make some money, I suppose. So otherwise, other currencies. So first off, you don't want to use ally points here, guys, to buy these things. If you can, get a bronzium or use bronziums to be able to cash these into shard store currency, and then once you have the shard store currency, then buy the things. It's going to be a way more effective use of your ally points if you want to do that. I know that not everyone has hot utils, which costs money, of course, but you can find an auto clicker to do it for you, and it's a little more frustrating, but it's not too bad. It's just an app that just click, and it eventually gets you to where you need to be. I used to do that a long time ago before I had hot utils to do it for me automatically. This isn't an ad for hot utils though, folks. So, it's don't go buying hot utils and telling them that I made you do it or something. Do what you want, actually. I don't care. You can tell I'm tired, folks. I need to sleep. So finally, guys, other currencies. The Mark III currency, that's something that a lot of people ask me about, because that's the one that you reroll for the level 9 for the character, right? And these are expensive, and you can't get them anywhere else except for Territory Wars, which, of course, if your whole guild is focusing on Territory Wars, then you're probably trying to get Datacrons, in which case you're going to win a lot more Territory Wars, and you're going to win a lot more Mark IIIs. But one way or another, you usually don't have quite enough Mark IIIs anyways for what you need. And so it is fine to buy these two little things, like the shipments and then the pack for them. It's not a bad price. I mean, yes, you're spending crystals, but here's the thing, guys. You don't want to get stuck with 3 Captain Phasma Crons when all you needed was 1 Supreme Leader Kylocron, and that's it. You don't want to get stuck there. That's the last thing you want to do. You want to be able to move forward and move on, and so spending some crystals in order to diversify your Datacron numbers is going to help. Like, because if you have 3 Phasma ones, that means not only do you not have the Supreme Leader Kylo one that you want. I'm using the example from the current Datacron set, folks. If you are not familiar with that set, or if you're watching the video a little bit later than when I created it, you want to be able to get that one Supreme Leader Kylo Cron, and then not even have any other First Order Crons at all. And so, if you're wasting them on Phasma, like, what are you even doing with those Crons? Like, you have a huge waste in your Datacron inventory, and if you're like me, I mean, yes, you can have a lot of Datacrons, but not a ton. You can afford to waste 3 of them. So sometimes buying this reroll material to get the one that you need the first try is going to be better. Of course, you want to be able to spend, if you're doing that, don't do a ton of rerolls leading up to it. Make sure that you're only rerolling the 20s on these, and then if you're going to spend more on trying to reroll level 9s, I don't know, that starts to be the line that I would draw. I'd be like, all right, I guess I'll stay. Phasma will do for now, and then I tried on the next Phasmacron I rolled. But anyways, folks, that's the long and short of how to do this. I hope it makes sense. I hope I didn't miss anything. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and not just about why Datacrons are trash, though I would welcome any discussion on what your frustrations are about Datacrons. I understand that you don't like them, or some of you don't, but hopefully this opens the gateway for people to be able to actually farm their Datacrons. This is the question I get asked almost the most, is how do my alts actually have so many Datacrons without spending money? And this is how, guys. I mean, it's not too crazy. I do spend some crystals, obviously, on refreshes, but you need that to finish Conquest anyways. Alright, I've rambled enough, guys. Thank you all so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Xaereth prevails.